Okay, so let's start. I will start from I enjoy when people have conversations that has to do with life, things that proactively engage you and help you solve your problem. Again, if I begin to pass the mic around to everybody here, you definitely have something in your mind that's trying to sort out. You wish somebody could just hear you out, tell you something that could help you either personally, professionally, or general wise. Okay, so some of those things are part of things we've sort of resonate together. I'm going to say talking about things that really interest you, and some of them might not interest you, but I would love for you to contribute. So while we speak here, you sort of listen, and then you contribute. Is that fine? Can we go now? Yes. Okay. So I'm not good at this. Okay. So let's start from somewhere. I will start from something that is related to all of us. I think 80% of us are not married. If you're not married,
why you ask? It's inconsequential in this conversation.
Okay, so let's start with sort of relationship. So I was listening to something this morning. I was listening to Pastor Dotson. His name is Dotson Saraki.
Okay.
He works in an aviation company.
Okay.
So he was talking about relationship per se. So now, my own definition of relationship is different from everybody's definition of relationship in this place. The reason why I say that is, when I ask you about relationship, what does relationship means to you? When somebody say, I'm in a relationship with, automatically you start to think the one, you understand, either leading to marriage, that kind of thing. That's what you start to think of. But to me, relationship is an household name. Do you get? Relationship is an household name such that courtship is relationship, friendship is relationship, right? Marriage is another form of relationship. Partnership is another relationship for me. Okay, and then colleagues. My colleague is here. Is we are in a relationship. Do you understand? So that is my own level of understanding of relationship. But let's scrap that for now. Let's bring in the general idea of relationship. So when I was listening to him this morning, he was talking about the goal of people having relationship, right? So you want to, the general thing is about red flags, So why is it that you don't want to be a friend with somebody? Because you observe there's a red flag that it doesn't correlate with you, it doesn't resonate with you, right? So the idea, the question is, what is the general idea about red flags? What do you have to say about that?
Okay, so one thing, as a psychologist, one thing I have come to realize is when you want to destroy the meaning of an experience, label it. Once you label it, it changes the whole interpretation of the experience. Let me give you a good example. If you say somebody is stubborn, what exactly is stubborn? While we were growing up, a lot of us, because we were an extrovert, we were labeled stubborn, right? A lot of people, a lot of children that have energy, extra energy, were actually labeled stubborn. If you look at some 20 years before now, if you come back from school and the first thing you're picking up is ball, you are most likely going to be labeled unserious. 20 years back. Now, if you pick up ball with parents that are now literate, that are now enlightened, they are most likely want to go into channel your time into football, right or right?
Sure.
Now, when you now say red flag, I am saying that nothing means anything except the meaning you give to it. The definition of red flag to somebody is a definition of compatibility to another person.
Exactly. Sure.
You may disagree. Let me give you a good example. For some people, red flag is when you are a lady drinks. A lady that drinks, for some people, is red flag. To some certain set of people, there are people that will tell you that they cannot date a woman who does not drink.
Sure.
So bring me back to that saying that nothing means anything except the meaning you give to it, right? Now, and when we talk about red flag, I think red flag simply means things that you have labeled to be against your own personal values. I would have loved to have a religious meaning to what red flag is, but I don't want to go there, right? But whatever thing you tag as red flag, I think it is what you think is against your own personal values. Right? So it is not about the action, it is not about the experience, it's not about the attitude, it's about the two persons involved. Because if you change the same people or you change the same environment, that red flag can actually be seen as green flag.
Sure.
So I think that is the definition of red flag. For me, red flag is not absolute. If I'm to give an example of red flag, I will tell you that the red flag I'm giving is based on my own personal values, personal experience, personal needs and wants. Because if I step out of this place, the same red flag, the same thing I give an example of red flag, somebody can say, are you kidding me? No, I can't do that.
Yeah.
For some people cannot date ladies that expose their body. To some guys, if you're not dripping and sexy, you are not that kind of person. So what exactly is the definition of red flag? If not our own, anything that is against our own values, our own terms, and our own culture.
Yeah. So let me just draw it back a little bit. So it has been observed generally, okay, that when people go into relationship, okay. So let's say I'm in a relationship with you. Let's say you're a lady, for example. So I'm in a relationship with you.
I'm straight.
So why would you even say that? So okay, don't let me use it.
Exactly.
So but it's been observed that when people stay in a relationship for a long time,
Yeah.
I get to know you. I know what you love, I know what you hate, I know what excites you, what doesn't excite you. I know what your perspective about life, your religious belief, all those things. So but there are some things that when relationship linger for a couple of time, 2 years, 3 years, there's a level to which it gets to that you wanted some more thing that you've always envisaged in your mind, but you can't get it, right? Because of the kind of person you are in a relationship with. So let's say you have anticipation of something about the other party. 80% of this person has it, but that 20% that the person does not have, okay, you are looking for it. You are not able to build it. You get so then the relationship ends as a result of as a result of that. So then it is being observed that the next relationship that kind of person busts into, that 20% way they find, you don't use the other years to learn the 80%. You understand the perspective of woman in that direction. But that 20% when they find, if you see another woman that has that 20%, you will grab her. And that 20% will not be the call, like the 100% he has always been looking for. So why is it that? So let me bring a question. So why do people who once shared love and intimacy sometimes end up bitter strangers or silent enemies?
I'm going to answer the two questions together. First, it is 80% that you're loving. And then after a while, you start looking for 20%. And when you don't see the 20%, you leave the person, you go after the 20%, you ignore the 80%, right? And then you're asking that why is it that people who are falling in love after a while, they tend to become enemies? So let me first start from the first question. Okay, so I have been doing psychotherapy professionally since 2018, unprofessionally since 2015. Professionally, I mean when I got certified, that's 2018. That should be around 7 years, I think. And you see, one thing that I know that is the cause of majority of breakups, both in marriage and in relationship, that I have handled, and I have come to realize that it is true, is something I call fatal attraction. I'm going to explain. Most likely, what attracts you to someone is what is going to set you apart from the person. Go and write it down. What attracts you to your partner is going to most likely be what is going to set you apart. And it is something that I have proven. That was what I actually did as my own personal research.
I think you have to prove.
Now I'm going to explain. Yeah, I'm going to explain.
Okay.
If the reason you chose your partner is because your partner is contented with life, after a while, that contentment is the opposite you're going to be seeing, which is complacency. You know that contentment and being complacent is almost the same. Contented is that this little, I am okay with it.
Yeah.
Complacent is I am not pushing forward. I am not doing more. Right? If you choose someone because the person is say very beautiful, like very, very beautiful. That is the only reason you chose the person. Over time, it has been proven that that same beauty will be the same thing that want to set you apart. Because don't forget that beauty will always attract. Once beauty attracts, for a man, it becomes what? Insecurity. Right? And once you are insecure about a woman, then there is a problem. Insecurity brings distrust, and then the cycle continues. If the reason you chose somebody is because the person is neat, right? In most cases, after a while, that neatness, you might actually see it as OCD. Imagine your partner always calling you, come and clean, come and clean. Very soon, if you're not careful or if you're not self-conscious, to see that, oh, I chose this person because this person is neat. I chose this person because, okay, there's something we call, what is it called now? Law of polarity in psychology. Polarity means that opposite attracts. Most times when you are not neat, you want your partner to be neat. Most times when you are not outspoken, you want your partner to be outspoken, right? And they now say that over time, the law of polarity gets to an extreme. And then once you're not self-conscious, that elastic limit will break. And once it breaks, that is when discord start happening. And there's the law of habitual and growth. Habitual is that the more you stay with somebody, the more you zoom into their weaknesses. Do we all agree?
Yeah.
If you're far away from someone, it's most likely you don't see their weakness, right? So, and again, growth. The truth is that most people grow out of love, which is natural. Let me say this. Your want 10 years ago, is it your want now? Your want 5 years ago, is it your want now?
No.
Okay, let's take it this way. Your personally, look at yourself now. Your physical brand, your physical brand 5 years ago, is it what it is now? If it has changed, can you signify? Your physical brand 5 years ago, you have evolved. 5 years ago, you have evolved. Your physical brand, right? It means that even for yourself, you want to evolve physically. Now imagine I'm bringing a partner who does not see evolving physically as an option. That is growth. For you, you've grown out. Let me give you another instance. Many of us that we grew up in Orthodox church, when you were in Orthodox church, and then let's imagine somebody comes in and the person is bringing in dyed hair. I'm talking about 20 years ago. Yeah. And then the pastor is preaching and then everybody look back and then the person comes in with a tinted hair. Many of us here would have crucified the person, buried the person would have resurrected in our mind. Fast forward 20 years after, if your pastor stands and is saying tinted hair is going to hell, the same you 20 years ago that you agreed to that same preaching will be like, pastor, now calm down now. Calm down, how about now? It means that if you are not self-conscious, in the next 5 years with your partner, you will be expecting growth. Forgetting that growth is out of your own circle of influence and cycle of control. You can only communicate your intended growth. It is still within the influence and the control of your partner to want to grow or not. Yeah. I think you're getting what I'm saying. So you see, there's a lot of dynamics to it. But if I'm to summarize why people actually set apart, I think people don't communicate their intention.
Yeah. Yeah.
People don't communicate their intention. They communicate their want, not their intention. Now, this is it. Let me ask a question. If I say that I want you to wear suit, okay, that is what I want, right?
Yeah.
If I say that, can you please dress smart so that we can look admirable at the meeting that we are going? Which one is intention? Which one is want? I want you to wear suit. As you are going, I want you to wear suit. And please, as you are agreeing now, I want us to look admirable. And I think wearing suit will make us achieve that. Which one is intention? Which one is want? Want is the first one. Yeah. The other one is intention. Which one are you most likely want to do? The second one, intention. But most times what we tell our partner is our want, not our intention. I want you to wear this kind of dress. I want you to talk this way. I want you to say this. And don't forget that most times want seems like being selfish. Do you get it now? Now, when I said, I want you to dress this so that we can look admirable, it's changed from I to we. Yeah. Combination of I and we is different from I want you to dress this way. So most times people communicate their wants to their partner and not their intention. And once you don't do that, your partner sees you as selfish and then there is a divide.
Yeah, I think that's even the reason why even the 20% you have always been with. It might just be because you're not able to communicate
your intention.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, one of the things I always thought of is when you enter into a relationship with somebody, your intention is not to change the person. The intention is trying to understand what role you can play to make the person be in sync with you. You know, some people does, you know, when you want to be in a relationship with somebody, or I want this person to be reflecting to me in this way, or you know, somebody, she wears jeans. You don't like jeans because of the kind of way you're brought up. Because you're now married to, I mean, you now want her to stop wearing jeans. There's a way you will communicate it that she would understand that, oh, okay, this is the reason why you don't want me to. And not everything you communicate will, I mean, she will want to compromise. But the way you set it, so that's why it is very good. Conversation is...
Communication is very key.
Yeah, it's very key because the way I tell you a thing will determine how you will respond. So like, there was a story. So let me just shift that in. So I went for a competition and I took some students to for the competition. So we're at the verge of winning, being one of those going to the next phase. So we're on break, just trying to figure things out. Then I saw two people. Okay, so they've been together working in the same institution before.
Okay.
So people were greeting me and good afternoon, and then you walk past. And this woman, the elderly woman who they work together, and the younger woman. So the younger woman walk past. You know, Yoruba culture now. You see your elder, you
You have to go, yeah.
So, but she just walked and passed. And then the woman was like,
Sure.
sure, really. So the lady now said, Mama, ring me, you're licking. I was shocked because I was with my student, but I didn't pay attention to them anymore. I wanted to know what is going on. So the woman now said it that, when we were working, that was 5 years ago. When they were working together, that there was a day she greeted her and she used nose to answer that. The way it came in my mind, we say, so she even answered you. Don't be say she not answered you. But because she said, that was what she had in mind. You get? And then now, 5 years later, you are here. You have not seen today. You have not seen yourself since then. And you just walk past. You understand? So now, the idea, what I pick up from that is, the whole situation was said with the woman have to say sorry. She couldn't even remember what happened. So, but the way you communicate things, you understand, it has an effect on the way the other person reacts. Now, she greeted, you get, but the understanding of the reaction of the person, of the elderly woman was, I beg my bye-bye, you get. So she didn't really, she took that as an offense, you get. So now, where I'm going is this: when you're tabling, so the way the conversation was tabled that day, that got it resolved, was because the woman trying to understand, because she just said and she just left. The woman now called us, kilo shele, you get, and then she now tabled it.
She had to communicate.
You get, when she communicated that this was what happened, the woman you go to here, I'm sorry, and then they just said it. You know, this I'm sorry. I took some time to understand what that I'm sorry does. Even in relationship, in friendship, like I said, my own idea of relationship is quite different. Both in friendship, in partnership, in colleagueship, I call it colleagueship. Okay? So I understand that being able to understand somebody's perspective about things is what can make you work together.
Okay.
Do you understand?
I think I want to add to it. And we should also understand something, that people respond to their experience, not your words.
Okay.
People respond to their experience, not your words. Even when I teach people integrated marketing communication, let me ask you, if you've been duped by a real estate agent before, and then another real estate is doing cold call, and then the real estate company now got your number from nowhere and calls you, how do you think you're going to respond to that customer care? Are you responding to the person's words? You are responding to your own experience about real talk. Yes or yes? Yeah. It's the same thing with partnership and courtship, and that's what we don't realize. Let me give you a good example. Do you know that if you go outside this place now and you get to Oshodi and you look at two conductors, they might most likely going to say Oloshi, Olori Buruku, and they will laugh. And they want to give themselves, the first time they are greeting themselves in the morning, Oloshi, so Padaji. No, is that not it? Yeah. Oloshi, so Padaji, we're going to G. Now bring it back. That is their experience. They've interpreted it in another way entirely. That is greeting to them. If you wake up and your partner says, Oloshi Opadaji, imagine that you wake up and the first thing your partner is saying, Oloshi Opadaji, I am sure that all your family members is going to settle that fight. Now, what I'm saying is that the same thing when somebody says you're a bastard. If all your life, your family, your mom has always been saying that you're a bastard, and that thing has triggered anger over time, the day your partner is playing and just saying Omwale, you are most likely going to change the whole environment to feel like the person has actually done DNA test and it has been ascertained that you are a bastard. So I am not trying to say that when people do something wrong, that we should allow them. I am only saying that most times the conversation, the feedback to a conversation, most times it is not what you hear. It is what you hear plus your own experience about what you heard. Now again, the woman, somebody has said nose, they use nose to answer. Do you know that it's possible that somebody answers with nose and I don't see it as being ignored? Is it possible that I greet somebody and somebody answers with nose and I don't see it as being ignored? It's possible that somebody answers with nose and I say, Mommy monkey. Another person can answer with nose and you are like, so monkey, down. I'm not greeting you again. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that girl, when you answer with nose, she is being ignored. Now, if that lady goes into a relationship and the man is in bad times, and in bad times you communicate in bad ways, and then the man gets and he said, baby, welcome, and he says, there's going to be a problem. I don't think you're getting what I'm trying to, the scenario play I'm giving, that in most cases we need to get to a level of self-awareness to understand. I will go back to that statement I said. Nothing absolutely means anything except the meaning you give to it. Nothing absolutely. Tell me anything and I will tell you that is the meaning you give to it. Nothing absolute. Do you know that if you see somebody who killed someone, what do you call the people that kill someone now? I don't want to use the wire killer. They call them one name like that. Yeah, and you tell and you ask the murderer to give you 10 reasons why killing that person is justifiable. Sure, you know they will give you. Sure, you know they will give you. To them, it is justified. To you, it is not justified. It means that nothing absolutely means anything except the meaning you give to it. And once you know that, all you need to do is when there is a communication, when there is issues in relationship, whether marital relationship, what do you call it again? Colleagueship. Relationship. You would understand. The first thing you should ask yourself, one, what interpretation am I giving to this? Two, of what experience is this person talking? Because if a madman says we're near, you are most likely going to run. But if somebody that is saying says we're near, you are most likely going to say we're in one. Again, the person saying we're near, you don't know the state that person is. You're not getting what I'm saying. You don't know the state. That's where emotional intelligence comes in. Which state is this person in? Am I reflecting, projecting my own experience on this person? Or this conversation is actually the reality of the two of us? Then you can now engage. I think that is it.
Yeah. Thanks for that. So let's take a step back.
Okay.
Let's take another direction.
Okay.
So I don't know. Does anybody want to have questions
around the relationship? Around what you just said now.
I know so many of us when our day.
Oh, should we continue at the end? Then we'll come back. Okay.
There should be a standard to say, okay, this is red flags. There are things that, okay, like you said, someone that put on gel, let me make that transition. You don't endorse such. Let's take for instance. That is not necessarily a red flag. Culture can shape mentality, culture can shape ideology, that's fine. But red flag, okay, someone is using you as a punching bag. That's a red flag, regardless of how you see it, regardless of how you interpret it. You might say there are some people that prefer to be hit or beaten or turned to a punching bag.
BDSM.
It's possible. But those people get that from experience also.
Which is what I was saying.
But that does not negate the fact that that is also a red flag, regardless of what that person is thinking. So if I'm saying that is not a red flag, doesn't mean it's not a red flag. The ideology of saying, okay, this is black, but the fact that you are saying is white makes it white based on the way you are saying it. So there should be a line to say, okay, this is black, regardless of what you are thinking, this is black.
That is where communication comes in. Now, I understand what you're saying. There are certain red flags that transcend your experience, that transcend your own interpretation. Like it is general, it is red flag. For instance, somebody who use gun. When you offend the person shoots you at on your leg. You offend again, the person shoots you. That is red flag, right? Regardless of whatever interpretation you call it. In fact, that is not even red flag. That is not even red flag. Let's be realistic. Because if you look at red flag, connotatively, red flag is attitude that you cannot deal with. That is a defect. Even beating is a defect. Let's be realistic. Beating is a defect. It is not an attitude. It's a defect. Somebody who beats his wife psychologically is not attitude. It's a defect. It's almost like saying you diagnose somebody for madness. Madness is not an attitude. Beating someone, beating your wife is not an attitude. It's a defect. It's a mental defect. And in most cases, your experience that shaped, just like when you say trauma, post-traumatic disorder. Somebody who beat his wife is really not, it's red flag, yes, generally, but it's really not attitudinal red flag. It is a defect, right? So if we are looking at red flag generally, we are looking at attitudinal, right? But if we are looking at it in depth, when there is an attitudinal defect, you shouldn't even date or be with somebody that has attitudinal defect. You get what I'm trying to say now? So attitudinal defect is quite different from connotative meaning of red flag. Red flag is somebody cheats. I've seen ladies that will tell you that I don't mind as long as you don't bring it to my house. Is cheating a defect? No. It's a value thing. My definition of red flag when I was explaining is value defect. It is not mental defect. Right? Hope you know that attitude has defect. Some of us now, punctuality is not part of our values. So some people, it is a red flag. You can actually tell a lady that let us meet for, what is it called? A dinner. Yeah. A dinner date. And you get there 30 minutes late. There are some ladies that will tell you that they cannot deal with.
Yeah.
It's an attitudinal defect. It is not a mental defect.
Sure.
Again.
Sure. So let's take a step back from relationship. Right? So let's go into pains. I started a podcast some years back,
Okay.
and I called it "The Mind a Battlefield." Okay, so let's speak to the mind now. You are a mind therapist. I'm not as knowledgeable as you are. But I mean, I always try to understand the state of mind. You know, if you're working in an environment, you know, one of the things that comes to your mind is you want to get promoted. You are putting effort to get things done. So many of us are in that state. Everybody is working in a company, working in an organization. You want to scale high. But due to some defect, due to some organizational structure, it is not helping you to grow better. Right? So, and that causes somewhat depression in you. It affects your productivity while you are doing your daily task. So now, how do you manage? So I'm talking of business. This is a business scenario now. How do you manage work ethics, your mental health, your professional self, your idea, and things you want to put together?
How do you manage your mental health in a state of chaos?
Yes, in your professional environment.
In your professional environment. See, if your health is actually your personal responsibility, regardless of what is happening in your environment, you still take care of your health. Mental health should not be different. It is not what happens around you that affects your mental health. Unlike in health, if you have an accident, you are most likely, everybody knows that once a car hits you and it hits you hard, you are going to see it physically, right?
Defect, yeah.
The defect. In mental health, it is not really what happens around you, it's what happens within you. Look at a ship. Do you know the body? Is it bodies of water they'll call it now in geography? The body of waters around a ship, it cannot sink a ship. But just punch a ship and let water comes inside. What happens?
It drowns.
The ship goes down. It's the same thing with mental health. You see, the truth is, Nigeria is even a country that will test your mental health. From when you are at home, you just wake up in the morning, you just want to go to your bathroom, and then the next thing, there is no water.
Never take life.
Somebody that has to pump water didn't pump water. You struggle to get water, you get to the bus stop, and then there is no bus because there's traffic somewhere. You find your way again, you get to work, you are not allowed to clock in because you came late. You got inside the office somehow, your line manager is giving you query. From query 1 week after, you are facing panel. From panel, you're most likely going to lose your job. But one thing I want us to realize in mental health is that, you see, it's a state of mind, sincerely. It is what you allow to come inside of you that really matters, right? And again, I'll still go back to what I said the other time. Nothing absolutely means anything except the meaning you give to it. And that is my own philosophy about life. And at the point when, do you know that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begins to change? Do you all agree? Let me give you a good instance. If you wanted to watch movie now and you don't have a phone stand, do you know that everything here will be looking like a phone stand? Who have tried it at home? You want to watch a film, and then the next thing is that you're looking at the next bottle beside you, and you are placing it behind you, and you are placing your phone, and immediately that bottle changes from being a bottle to what? To a phone stand.
Yeah.
When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begins to change. If you want to hide money, that is when you know that the flower vase in your house is actually a bank vault. Is that not it? You want to hide money and you don't want anybody to see it, and you just look at your flower vase.
Best place to put the money.
Bank vault, this is where you are, and you keep money there. It is the same thing with our experiences. If everything that happens to you, you look at it and you ask yourself, what positive interpretation can I give to this? What positive interpretation can I give to this? Most likely, there is 5 perspectives to every experiences. We just try to zoom into one perspective. Tell me one worst experience, and if you think deeply, the worst experience that can happen is death. Now, if you are a Christian and they ask you, is death the end of life? The moment you answer that no, there is life after death, you have made positive out of it. Yes or yes? Right? So, anything that happens, most times we zoom in on one aspect of that one thing. The person that had an accident on 3rd Milan Bridge, if she was to reverse and then she was unable to get water to have a bath, and then she got to the train station late, and then she got to the office late, and she was told to pick between that experience and the experience of an accident. I'm very sure the person is going to pick the first one. Sure. And if that experience had happened, she could have thought that is the worst experience that would have happened that day. The question is, what explanation do you give to every experience that you have? It is the explanation you give to it that your body and your mind and your soul assimilate, that your mental health explains or digests. So it is only in physical health that you can say that for every cause there is an effect, or for every effect there is a cause. In mental health, for every cause there is an interpretation before an effect. You cannot interpret accident when they hit you without law. But for somebody say you are mad, somebody say you are crazy, you can actually, let me give you a good example. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. When I gained, for my first degree, I had 2 degrees. For my first degree, I stayed with someone because I was a very good writer. The person owns a magazine company. So I was helping the person to edit and to write, even as an undergraduate. This man can drink urine. I mean urine, he can drink urine. Now, when I wake up in the morning, this is what I used to hear every morning for 2.5 years. Go to law school. Sorry for the non-Yoruba speakers. School to malo to ni padà ríṣẹ́. Àwa tá lọ sí Unijos, ìgbà tí Unijos ń jẹ́ Unijos. Ká ṣe tó pẹ̀lú first class. Kí ni mo ń ṣe, paper ni mo ṣe. Now, this man repeats this thing every day for 2.5 years. That's what I hear every morning going to school. Now, this is the same person that will call me 10:30. Hello, Michael. That is where he speaks. Hello, Michael. Mani fine, sir. Ṣé ní lo wà? Jọba mi sí ẹ wà. Ọtí tí mo mu etí maybe pa mi. I'm talking about 10:30. Almost every day. He likes this. Almost every day I could be 10:30. So he got to a point. I didn't even know more of mental health down then. So he got to a point. I just asked myself, Michael, what if everything you do to this man and everything this man says to you is the rent that you are paying to stay here? What if this man has a very nice house? In fact, that was the first time I was going to stay in a house that has POP, that has chandelier. Like, what if my colleagues, when they come and read, because it's not always at home, when they come, they say, Umbuli to find, they will help me. When they go, me, I'll wake up in the morning to abuse this. At night, I'll wake up to cook beans. I told myself, what if that is the rent I am paying to stay in that apartment? And that was what changed. When he's talking, I just be like, I'm going to take rent million. Once he's talking like this, the next thing is rent million is due million. And when he's saying that, I'll just be smiling, rent million is on me. I'm paying the rent of my house. And that was how I was able to survive 2.5 years. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So for every experience, it's because we have decided to give a negative interpretation to it. That is why it is affecting our mental health.
Interesting. Thank you for that. So, does anybody else contribution question before we still continue? I mean, we are rounding it up. So. Okay.
Exactly.
What about if let's go back to conversation whereby you more like have to give a response almost.
Now, I am an emotional intelligence expert. 6 seconds certified, 6 seconds American certified emotional intelligence expert. Every human being has 6 seconds before they react.
So you're saying
it's a level of mastery. Let me ask you a question. If you face Tinubu today, and Tinubu says something that you dread most, what are you going to do? Why is Tinubu different from every other human being? Let's learn.
Maybe because the effect of my response would not be nice.
The effect of your response, that is not
what I'm trying to say is, if I'm giving the response that I'll give to someone else,
yeah.
What might happen to me is what I'm talking about.
What might happen to you? Was that the first thought that will come to your mind when you want to talk to him? That is not the first thought that comes. It's the personality of the person standing in front of you that will first come. Is that not what you first come? Not the effect. Once he talks, the first thing that comes to your mind is this is a president, not the effect. It is after, if you take president out of him, the effect will not come. It is his personality that brings his effect. Yeah. Right? The same thing in conversation. If you're talking to someone and then you profile the person, you are most likely will be able to control your response. Let me give you a good example. If you're talking to your wife and as a Christian, you understand that this person is your partner, is God's gift to you. I'm talking in Christian way now. You know, it would most likely help you to manage the kind of response you give to your partner. Do you agree? The same thing with your boss. If you look at your boss and you're like, one day I can actually become a boss. If all pressure is on me, am I going to act better than this person? Let's be realistic. Many of us talk, oh, president, some of us, when we get to position of leadership, we will do worse than the person that is there. Because don't forget that your own, you may only have line manager to attend what is it called? To talk to give accounts to. So a boss might have 3 hierarchy to attend to. So sometimes it is about the profile of the person or your own interpretation of who the person is. That, like I said at that time, if a mad person says, a mad person says, and hi says, I'm going to slap you. What will be your response to the 2 situations?
I'm not from the bad person that ask you why you don't slap me.
Now, do you know why you run from the mad person? It's still the person's profile before you talk about consequence. That this person is mad. Let me just go. So what if everybody that is now angry at you, you are projecting that this is the state of madness. It's just 5 minutes is going to last. After this 5 minutes, it's going to come down. Because of course, even in workplace, it has how many minutes your boss can actually shout. After 5 minutes, it's done. Right? So in emotional intelligence, what we preach is that first study patterns. There's something we call patterns. Let me give you a good example. So there's a story that goes around that we use in our psychological class. That there's 2 couple. Anytime the husband enters the restroom every morning, he comes back outside getting angry. Anytime he goes into the restroom, he comes back outside getting angry. They had to ask, Shelley. So they create a prototype of what the toilet is. That what usually gets you angry. So they started picking it. Is it the what is it called? The WC. They now picked toothpaste. It was the toothpaste because the wife usually pressed toothpaste from the middle. So anytime he gets, I want to brush his teeth, and he sees toothpaste being pressed in the middle, he gets angry. Why? Because when he was a child, anytime he pressed toothpaste in the middle, the parent beats him. So it became a post-traumatic disorder to him. And that is what causes fight every day. Now, once you recognize pattern, what you need to now do, if it is your boss, anytime I don't do this, this is the reaction I get from this boss. Anytime you don't do it, before the reaction comes, you already picture it and envisage it. So when it is playing out, you are replaying what you have played in your head. It has no effect. That is what emotional intelligence is about. Study patterns, recognize pattern, and then face the pattern. Simple. Did that answer your question?
Just like we know that if we say get on our legs and we respond, like next thing is real.
Is what? Management.
I need to explain this kind of thing and patient. So even if sometimes what you respond, you have to calculate that. Am I ready to explain myself?
Because you already understand the patterns.
Ready to understand. So that's alone give you the courage to okay, I think I'm ready for this. Yes. Let's
Do you know that even our fathers there knows that when they come home and they make the home disorganized, they get angry. They could have called our mom, it would have solved most of their aggressiveness. You know, most times when our father comes home and then the whole house is scattered. They could have just called 5 minutes, 2 minutes before getting home. Once that is patterns. He understood the patterns. So most times our reaction is a result of understanding of our patterns. It's just it. Most times.
Let's close with this. Okay, you have a comment here.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I think we're not talking about healing process.
Okay, healing.
Yeah.
What do you want to heal from?
We all know that mental health issues are not just things that we just
Okay.
so and if you don't pass the healing process, it will still allow you to be the people that you want to
Okay. So
So
for a lot of mental health issues, just like you're saying that health issues are diverse. Mental health issues are also diverse. We have people who have cases of rape, childhood trauma, people whose parents did not nurture them in the right way, maybe with aggressiveness or what sort of. So it depends on what the cause of the low mental health is. So I'm saying that there is no a one solution to mental health. If I'm dealing with somebody who has childhood experience, I'm most likely going to use what we call matrix reimprinting to help the person solve childhood experience. If the person has to do with behavior, I'm most likely going to use CBT.
What does CBT mean?
That is what is it called again? Cognitive behavioral therapy. Thank you. Cognitive behavioral therapy. If it is rape, I'm most likely going to use perceptual positioning or matrix reimprinting. So it depends. But if someone wants to solve their mental health issues themselves, there is two things that might actually help. Number one, hypnotherapy. What is hypnotherapy? Hypnotherapy and perceptual position. What is perceptual positioning? Perceptual positioning is that thing that hurts you, have a discussion with that thing. So if, for instance, your mom is the one that hurts you, that has hurt you, put a chair in front of you, place your mom's picture on it, or place your phone on it with your mom's picture. Everything you want to say to your mom that you know you cannot say to her face to face, say it to that picture. You are most likely going to head towards the process of healing, right? Most times, the reason we don't heal in our mental health is because we actually bottle up emotions, right? Mental health is when you bottle up emotion and you don't express. So when you express it, to a large extent, you're on the path to healing. Then another thing is hypnotherapy. So hypnotherapy is actually more like what you people call meditation, mindfulness, mindful meditation, yoga. But I don't literally believe in that. So what hypnotherapy is that find a song of healing or a song that heals your soul. So this is it. Everybody that we are here now, we have our frequency of healing. So I'm going deep. So we have our frequency. So we have our frequency of healing, right? So you cannot just go to YouTube, just click healing sound. Anybody can do that. Click healing sound. You will see a lot of healing sound. They have done a lot of frequency. When you play the first one and you see it doesn't give you calmness, take it away. Play another one until you get the one that gives you calmness. So once you play it, what you do is that you sleep, and then that thing that is causing you pain is what you think to sleep, right? With the healing sound, you think it till you sleep, right? And then when you wake up, you tell yourself, even though this happens to me, I am this and this, positive. Negative, even though positive. Even though I was raped, right? I am a princess. I am a queen in God's sight. Even though I was defiled, I am still a queen in God's sight, right? So once you tell yourself every now and then, why you're sleeping on that is because you're sleeping and then you are forgetting the experience with the healing sound. And then when you wake up into positivity. So we call it hypnotherapy in psychology. So that can help. You can administer that on yourself. But I advise that if the reason for your mental health is very personal, it is better that you seek a therapist that would give you the best approach to healing. I think I answered that.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other comments? So let's end with this. So thank you so much. So I'm feeling somehow now. Okay, so let's say we are diving away. We have moved from relationship to
To
mind,
mental health, yeah.
mental health
To business.
Yeah, so let's deal with psychology. So we just click the 5 phases now. So the question is, are we truly, just want you to answer it in a simple pattern. I'll say, are we truly making choices, or are our decisions shaped by the trauma we face, or by causes, maybe generational causes? Many people believe in generational causes, or it's our destiny that, is it what really wrap around what our decisions is as a person? Just talk about around psychology.
See, if I'm going to talk about that, it's most likely we're not going to leave here, but I'm going to summarize. Now, I'm going to divide it into 3. Number 1, any causes need your attitudinal cooperation before it can actually have influence over your life.
Sure.
Every causes, I don't want to know who caused you, where you were caused. Any causes need your attitudinal cooperation. Now, let me tell you, the truth is that, you know that causes has patterns. Do we agree? Causes have patterns. If we are to sit down and to tell ourselves genuinely what we think the causes of our parents is, now I'm not saying there are causes and causes. You know there's causes and there's causes. Now, the cause of our parents, we are most likely going to trace patterns. This is the pattern. Once you recognize the pattern, and then you do not allow your own attitude to cooperate with that pattern, you are most likely going to break the causes. If the cause is that in your family, they don't used to buy car, you are most likely going to check your dad. My dad never had savings, never had investment. All he does is collect income and spend. You too, you are now collecting income and spending. You too, you will not buy car. It is not a cause. It is that your attitude has cooperated with that cause.
Yeah.
However, there is something we call epigenetic markers in psychology. Epigenetic markers. So what is epigenetic markers? Let me explain. Our last born, when my mom was pregnant of her, my mom had, what is it called? A domestic accident at home, and then her chest got wounded. When she gave birth, our last born, as in our own chest pain came from heaven.
I got it.
Yeah, our chest pain came from heaven. To the extent that we took her to general hospital and they said nothing was wrong. She beat like times 3 faster than a normal human being, and she's still alive. Now, there's something we call epigenetic markers. People think that it's only physical attribute that you can pass on, which is genetics, for people that do science. But there is also a way you can pass your emotion down to your children. It is called epigenetics. Genetics is the one that your facial expression, your nose shape is what you pass on. For emotions, it is called epigenetics. So if you have been raped before and you don't get healed, you are most likely going to pass it to your child and she's going to be a victim of rape. Yeah, it's shocking. That's why I said if I say it now, it might cause wahala. It is the reason that most times, if only daughters can speak to their mom, most times it is identical experience that your mom had in your age that you're having, even as men too. Because the truth is, they didn't just pass. Sure, you know that when parents give birth in 8 months, especially women, a lot of things come to their mind. All the experiences that they have had comes to their mind. The same way your child is picking, sure, you know that child can actually pick emotions from women, for nurses. Am I right? Like, child can actually pick the emotion of the parent, right?
Yeah.
In most cases, those things that you experience, those pain that you're experiencing, those trauma that you're experiencing, you are also passing it through. So the question you ask is that, are we making choices, or our trauma, destiny, or causes is making choices? I say it is 50-50. It's 50-50. Epigenetics can make you to actually inherit some of your parents' experiences if you are not careful. If you don't get to the stage of wholeness, that is where wholeness comes from. That is the place, that book, that Bible verse in, where is it called? I think the book of Romans, renewal of minds. Is it in Romans? Yeah, it's in Romans, renewal of minds. If the Bible can state that you have to renew your mind, and the same thing that says that the word of God said in Jeremiah, don't let this book of the law, it is still the same thing that is saying in New Testament, which is renewal of mind. It means that even as a born again Christian, even as someone who thinks your life, you are in charge of your life, every day you need to have renewal of mind. And what is renewal of mind? Renewal of mind is healing, true healing of your mind, right? And for destiny, again, I believe that God has written how we will spend our life. But I also believe that God has given us the free will to make it happen. When the Bible says somebody was going to betray, what is it called? Jesus.
It doesn't have to be Judas.
It doesn't have to be Judas, but it had to be Judas. You know why? Judas was the treasurer of the 12, of the whole 12 disciples. I can bet you, if the Bible can say very well, it is because he already has been stealing from that money. That could have made, because the only reason Satan will pick him, Satan will use what your weakness to actually what is it called? To attack, right? Somebody that was keeping money, if he was diligent in the money, he's most likely not going to be picked. Do you agree with me? But if he was covetous with the money, of course, Satan will be like, but boy, no, what you just go for no, some people make from it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So destiny, yes, exists. Yes, it is moving. Just like the Bible says, the Spirit of the Lord was moving around the face of the earth. Yes, it is moving. But it still needs your attitudinal cooperation. Still needs your acceptance before it can come to pass, right? And causes is real. But then, it also still needs your attitudinal cooperation for it to come to pass.
Thank you. Please let me clap for him. Thank you so much. Can you snap us quiet? Make it cover everybody. I don't know. Okay, somebody has something to say? No, just hold on.
Question, you can ask question.
Just wait a second. Now, related to Jabez, when he found out he was caused because of the incident that happened during his birth, he actually prayed and developed a new attitude. So, I think, like you said, attitude matters a lot. You can identify a pattern in your family.
And break it.
Okay, this is what has happened to my grandmother. My grandmother came out of marriage. My mother came out of marriage. How will I stay in marriage? To identify and develop a good attitude. Okay, if I don't talk back at my husband, if I don't raise my voice at him, I think I saw my mom raising my voice at my father. Those were one of the things that actually led to our divorce and all that. If you create a good attitude, like you have actually experienced, it's not possible. So cause exists.
But study pattern.
Yeah, so there's another thing I thought of. So I was looking at my dad at the time.
Okay.
Like you said, I could testify to this transcending part of it. My face is not straight, right? When I want to take pictures, I usually stay at the left hand side.
Okay.
My face is not straight. So I used to think, so my dad slapped me everything. You know, when they say they slap you, would you my So my dad has slapped me once, I remember, and my jaw, I felt my jaw.
Okay.
Really. So I was in primary 5 at that time. So, but he was telling me later that no, he had an accident at the time
Mm.
before I was given birth to.
Mm.
So in between the time he has healed for this, so that was how his
Jaw.
jaw was. So that was the time he had the whole this thing with my mom. I was given birth.
So his own his own facial structure is not innate. It is a cause of a physical, what I call it now, a physical thing,
Yeah.
and then it's still passed on to him. It's just epigenetics, sincerely.
so-
it's just
So
epigenetics.
I think, I mean, that's why I say I could relate to.
It's epigenetics. Some people don't know. People don't know.